Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming along to this seminar this morning. My name is Eamonn Coyle, and my company is Eamonn Coyle Consultancy. So today I am going to cover the subject matter of business development, and I hope you will find this very interesting, as it is a very interesting subject. And so sit back now and enjoy the topic. So about a human attention span, I think it's about maybe 10 to 15 minutes. So I certainly will not present for any longer than 15 minutes. I will take a break. And the purpose of the break is to allow you to interact and ask questions. So, okay, so the topics that we're going to cover, right? We're going to cover the most important topic relative to business development, and that is leadership. Unless you've got proper, effective leadership, then the business will not develop. And over the years, I have implemented ISO, Total Quality Management, CPD Engineers Ireland, business excellence in quite a large number of companies. And the only places where it works is where there is proper, committed, effective leadership. So leadership is critical. And I'd say if you get the right leadership in place, the rest will just naturally fall into place. So we'll then look at the business idea. We look at the 4 P's of marketing. We will look at market analysis. We will look at competitor analysis. We will look at unique selling point. We will look at competitive advantage, your sustainable advantage, and then the actual business development techniques. So to some degree, we could go straight into business development techniques and start talking about getting a brochure, getting a business card, having a website, having a business development manager, having a salesman, and all that kind of stuff. So I've left the techniques to the very end, because there's no point in start developing your business unless you have the things that I've mentioned earlier in place first, and that's just the way it works. So I'll now talk a little bit about leadership. And there are many definitions about leadership, many definitions about leadership. So I'll just give you a typical definition. Leadership in a business is the capacity of the company's management to set and achieve challenging goals, take fast and decisive actions when needed, outperform the competition, and inspire others to perform at the highest level they can. That's a good definition. Outperforming the competition, inspire other people within the company to perform to their best, take fast and decisive action, set and achieve challenging goals. So I'm going to quote David Goggins to you. Now, I could quote any number of authors, but let's say a book by David Goggins, a book called Can't Hurt Me. And the book talks about master your mind and defy the odds. So through self-discipline, mental toughness, hard work, David Goggins transformed himself from a depressed, overweight young man with no future into a US Armed Forces icon and one of the world's top endurance athletes and public speaker. That's what he's done. In the book, David Goggins explains that most of us only tap into 40% of our capabilities. So we are only working to 40% of our effectiveness. And that is a startling fact to be aware of. So every one of us can improve. And the lead singer with Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks, said, if you're any good at all, you should know that you can be much better. And can you all hear me quite clearly?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, very good. Now, these are some quotations to be aware of, okay? So in order to be an effective leader, you have to know yourself. And there's a quotation, to thine own self be true. But the problem is that We all think we know ourselves. And the reality is actually that we don't know ourselves at all. But we think that we know ourselves. So what Robbie Burns, a Scottish poet, said, "Oh, would some power, the giftie, gie us to see ourselves as we see ourselves." In other words, oh God, or would some power, the gift, to give us to see ourselves as others see us. So what he's basically saying, everybody else around us knows what we're like, except ourselves. So the people close to you, your wife, your sister, your brother, your work colleagues, your friends, your teammates, they'll all know what you're like. The problem is, it's yourself that need to know yourself. You need to know yourself, and you need to know what your strengths and weaknesses are. And some other famous author, and the name is covered there, it takes considerable knowledge just to realize the extent of your own ignorance. And then Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist or psychologist, said, the most terrifying thing for a human being to do is to accept oneself completely. That is, to get a true understanding of yourself and to accept yourself exactly as you are, warts and all. And the next quotation is, to know yourself, that is, to get to know yourself, you must, first of all, give up the illusion that you already do. The point is, none of us really know what we are truly like unless you do some work in that area. And then about relaxation and meditation, Blasé, the French philosopher, said, all men's miseries derive from not being able to sit in a quiet room alone. So we're all running around like headless chickens, running from A to B and always busy, don't have time to answer the phone, don't have time to have a social conversation. And he said that our miseries come from the fact that we're not able to sit quietly alone. So in order to be a leader, you need to find out first who you are, what you're like, what your strengths, what your weaknesses are. And the problem is most people have no idea. And most people have a very high opinion of themselves, and they think that they're better than what they really are. So what we're trying to do here is to get a true understanding of what we are really like as human beings, strengths, weaknesses, warts, and all. But the positive news is, once you do an honest assessment of yourself, then you can improve, because social, emotional, soft, interpersonal leadership skills, they can all be learned. They can all be developed. And that's the positive news. And you can't be perfect because there's no such thing, but you can certainly improve. So what I have here is a template that I designed in consultation with some other business people going back maybe 10 years ago. I've been working on this. So listed on this template is the undisputed traits of a leader. So for example, I did this with a guy called Frank. So if you look at the top right, Frank is a visionary. So that's the first one. This is a competence trait, characteristic of a leader or a manager. Competence in the chosen business, energetic, persistent to stick with the right strategy, listening abilities, ability to withstand setbacks, able to switch off and relax, social skills, social intelligence, interpersonal skills, organizational skills, likability, patience, assertiveness, ability and willingness to part with money, ability to remain calm in difficult situations, understanding of the business idea, ability to assess people, ability to accurately assess situations. So they're all the traits, qualities of a leader. You're not going to score highly in all of them. It's impossible. But what you do need to do is get a clear picture of yourself and understand where your strengths are, and then start developing your strengths and also working on your weaknesses and moving forward with those. And it can be done. But basically, the point I'd like to make about this template, none of us are capable of completing this template ourselves because we're not capable of assessing ourselves. And that's the reason I brought up the quotations earlier on. So what I would say to you is you'd have to get this template and you'd have to give it maybe to 4, 5, 6 people that know you really well. Who knows you really well? Okay, your wife will know you really well. Your girlfriend will know you really well. Your sister will know you really well. Your brother will know you really well. Your business partners will know you really well. Your work colleagues will know you really well. People that would be honest and that would have your best interest at heart and that would give you a fair assessment, an honest assessment. Now, there's no point in giving it to someone that don't like you because they will score you poorly in all the areas and you won't get an accurate picture. So they score it as you being very strong, average, weak, or very weak in those traits. And then you get a picture and you get it back from 6 people and you take the 6 and you transfer it on to 1. Now, it has to be done confidentially because if they're going to score you low, they don't want you then coming back at them. So the way I've done it before is I did it with a few leaders, and basically I gave them the blank template. They gave it to the people that would assess them, and then they posted it back to me. And I got all 6 of them, and I combined it into 1, and then I binned the originals. So when I got the letter, I didn't know who sent it. I had no idea and I had no interest, but I got the picture and then I sat down with the leader and I said, right, these are your strengths. You're very strong in this area, according to the people that know you, and do you agree? And then according to the people that know you, you're weak in these areas. So do you believe that you need these traits, these characteristics, and do you believe that you need to improve them? And if you do, then this is how you do it. So once you get the clear picture, you end up with a gap in your managerial leadership traits. So what you do then is you develop a personal development plan and you get onto a program of continuous professional development. And this is ongoing. This could be for the rest of your life, but you can make huge improvements in the first, say, 2 years. And then you close the gap. So basically at the top, there's a gap, the guy scratching his head, and on the bottom right-hand side, your man is able to clear the gap. So the other thing as well to be aware of is who said genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. People think about geniuses that they are natural born geniuses. Well, actually, genius is 99% hard work. That's how geniuses are created. And according to Carl Jung as well, until you make the unconscious, your unconscious mind conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So you got to bring the stuff out of your unconscious mind into your conscious mind and become aware of who you are. And talking about development, John Maxwell, who was a writer, author, leader, said, growth is the greatest separator between those who succeed and those who don't. When I see a person beginning to separate themselves from the pack, it's almost always due to personal growth. And that's what I talked about, the personal development plan. And Albert Einstein said that the measure of intelligence is the ability to change. So every one of us, we can all change for the better. Now, I will go through this and I'll explain to you how you can improve your leadership, managerial, personal development skills. Improving your leadership skills. Okay, so first of all, you have to accept that improvements are necessary and making a decision to improve. You got to be aware that emotional, social, interpersonal skills can be learned. One of the things you can do is you can do meditation and guided imagery for between 15 and 30 minutes a day. And on that note, There's a CD that I have. It's called Self-Healing with Guided Imagery by Dr. Andrew Weil and Martin Rossman. And they are two Americans proven in that area. And I've listened to that CD quite a number of times, and I can say it's excellent. You create a personal development plan, you work with a professional coach, and you exercise regularly, and you follow a healthy diet. The thing I'd like to say about 15 to 30 minutes twice daily, that means if you meditate in the morning for 30 minutes and you meditate at night for 30 minutes, you're losing an hour out of your day. But if you lose an hour out of your day, you'll gain back 4. And they are the facts. Because for the time that you are working, you'll be more effective, you'll be more efficient, you'll be more productive. So I'll take a break there. If any of you would like to ask any questions about what we've covered so far, or if you'd like to add anything to what we've just covered. Or are you happy enough with everything that we've covered?
Yeah, pretty happy.
It all makes sense to you?
It does, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can already see gaps.
Okay. And do you believe the gaps can be closed?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, they can, yeah. But you need to know what they are.
I'm definitely a fan of continuous development in your career.
Yeah, it's very important. Very important. Very, very important. Very important. Like I have done already 70 hours of CPD this year. I work very hard in engineering, studying, watching YouTube videos, reading, talking to engineers. And I'm on the verge of being chartered with Engineers Ireland. So I'm preparing for that. And I'm achieving that through personal development, CPD. And it's very interesting as well. So would you like to add anything to that? You agree with it? Yes?
Yeah, I do agree with it. Yeah, I'm not sure the other guys.
I agree.
Danut, does it make sense to you?
Of course it does.
And did you understand everything that I said?
Yes, I pretty liked much the quotes that you said from the authors.
You like the quotes?
Yes.
Yes, they make sense. They're perfect sense. Yeah, they're absolutely true. I mean, they're famous. They're all famous people.
Yes, indeed.
So it can be done. But look, you have to get the personal development plan. You have to take that matrix and you have to find out what you're like. And you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised at what comes back, in the sense that, like, none of us know ourselves really the way we are, what we really are. And Robbie Burns, a famous Scottish poet, there's various variants of the quotation. One of them is sort of, God, grant me the grace so that I can see myself the way that everybody else sees me. I mean, I'm sure that you know some people that behave erratically and behave negatively, and they have no idea how they are negatively impacting on people. Do any of you have any experience of that? Okay, we'll move on then, right? That's the most important part of business development covered, really, to be honest with you now. So if those skills are in place, you'll have the ability then to develop your business, and you know, the rest really will fall into place, honestly, but we'll cover it anyway. So what you need in business, right? One of the traits of a leader is to stay ahead of the competition. And a good leader, that's one of the traits of a leader, getting ahead of the competition and staying ahead of the competition and getting a competitive advantage. So how do you get a competitive advantage? Okay, your company, yourself, by being creative and innovative and coming up with new ideas, but by having great teamwork in your company. And every company that you talk to, they'll all say, oh yes, we have great teamwork here. But the reality is they don't. Honest, genuine, healthy teamwork an honest, healthy, productive, collaborative company culture. You need good leadership. And if you have good leadership, the rest will fall into place. You need good networking abilities to be able to connect to potential clients. In your case now, the industry is moving forward. And I see now in your industry that an important thing is 3D traffic modeling. And it's not that difficult. The software is out there. So you bring Google Maps into your software and you bring in little cars and you model the traffic and what the impact will be. And it's the way to go. And clients would love that. So I see a gap in the market for 3D traffic modeling. 3D civils and BIM level 2. I'm sure you're all familiar with that. External linkages means how well you are connected externally, connected to clients, connected to suppliers, connected to industry, Engineers Ireland, the CIF, Small Firms Association, and various government bodies like that. ISME, continuous professional development, where you're located, although it doesn't really matter so much now where you're located because Zoom is so good. Training programs and the ability to change. You should never be happy with where you are, what you have. You should always be trying to change for the better and to improve. And I'd say anybody getting onto this program now and making a deliberate effort to improve and to change, I'd say it's a 2-year job before you start to see the results, because everybody thinks short terms. Start the change today and you'll be perfect next week. It doesn't work like that. You'll start making steady improvements immediately, but I think it's a 2-year thing, and you assess yourself as you go along and you then reevaluate yourself. Right, okay, the 4 P's of marketing. The 4 P's of marketing are made up of product, or in your case, service, place, price, promotion. So first of all, you need to have a product that people want to buy, or a service. You then need to place where you're located and where your customers are and your audience. You then need to get the price, and the price is critical. If you underprice, people will think that you're no good and that you're undervaluing yourself. So underpricing is a very dangerous thing because you give the wrong impression. And overpricing is also equally dangerous. So you need to get the price right. And getting the price right is very, very important and very difficult. But you can't lose money and you have to make a profit. So you really need to know what you're doing relative to the price. And about leadership, if mathematics, arithmetic, or numerics is not your forte, then you have to get somebody to do the pricing for you. Then you need to know how to promote the business. And we'll talk about that later on. And you got to be aware, right, that products go out of date. And there is a thing called the product life cycle. And you look at this graph on the right-hand side. So a product is introduced, it grows, it reaches maturity, and then it declines. So for example, I remember these cassette recorders, and you can't find them anymore. And I remember these bikes, and they're gone now. And those cassette recorders were replaced by bigger cassette recorders. They were then replaced by CDs. The CDs were then replaced by DVDs. And the DVDs then were replaced by USB sticks. And the USB sticks were then replaced by cloud computing. So things always keep moving forward. So you need to move forward all the time in order to stand still. So be aware of that. Another thing you have to do as well is you need to have a good look at the market, and you need to make sure that there is a market for what you're doing. You need to absolutely make sure that there's a market for what you're doing. So there are templates available to help you to do that. So for example, you can do a SWOT analysis of your company: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So you need to look at the strengths of the companies. You need to look at the company weaknesses. You need to look at opportunities, and then you need to look at threats. SWOT analysis. And you can do that at the personality level as well. You then need to look at the market. And the way to analyze a market is a thing called a template called Pestle. So you look at the politics, the economics, the social culture, technology, environmental, and the legal. So for example, if I take Ireland, the political situation in Ireland is reasonably stable. Not great, but reasonably stable. The economy seems to be okay, although this coronavirus is going to have a very negative impact, but we seem to be tipping along okay. Culturally, we seem to be okay. Technologically, we're very advanced. Environmentally, we're not great, but we're promising to make improvements, and we have a reasonable legal system. Like, it's very easy to do business in Ireland. And then in order to analyze the market, you use a thing called a template called Porter's 5 Forces. So in the middle, you look at the rivalry between the companies that are doing what you're doing and the competition between them. So I work in civil engineering infrastructure, and it's a cutthroat business. You then look at bargaining powers of your suppliers. You look at the bargaining powers of customers, and the customers that we have in civil engineering, they have a huge choice. Every time you submit a tender, they also get another 10. You then look at the threat of new entrants, and you then look at the threat of substitutes. Other people might have other ideas that can meet the client's demands. So what I'd like to say to you now, once you get all of those things right, you got your leadership skill right, you got the company culture right, you have decided on your product, you did the market analysis, you have decided on your customers, and you've started targeting your customers. I'm now going to look at the techniques for developing your business. So basically, you need a good website and SEO, search engine optimization, the words, and when people go looking for you, that you come up. You can use Google AdWords, and you have to pay Google, and then you'll come up first. You can do that. The website, everybody now needs a website, and that's where people go to check you out. You can do cold calling. Even if you have a website, you can still do cold calling. And cold calling means getting somebody in the office and phoning up potential customers, introducing yourself. You have to be very smart about that. And in order to do that, you need soft, interpersonal communication skills. And you need to be very warm, and you need to be very polite, and you need to be very friendly. And it's a skill. And you need the right person doing that. So they talk to the receptionist, and you should always try to be able to get past the receptionist and get to the right person. So you get the name of the receptionist, and then you send them an email, and then you introduce your company. That's the first point of contact. You can then visit the office. Once you get the contact, you can then send them a polite email with a link to your website. And you can then follow it up. And that takes time. So if you were to start that next week, let's say you start that at the beginning of June, and let's say that you contacted 200 potential customers, you'd be very lucky if you got 10 customers out of 200 attempts. But the 10 customers is a lot, and that's good, and that's a good return. So you have somebody that targeted 200 potential customers, and you ended up with 10 new customers. That's the kind of effort it takes. The return is very low on cold calling. But look, that's a fact of life, and that's the way it is. But imagine you have another 10 customers on your book. That is great. Can you imagine how much benefit it would be to your business if you managed to get another 10 customers? It would be amazing. Personal context is very important. You can't beat it. Brand building, building up your brand, having a proper website, doing good work, getting a good reputation, and being on LinkedIn, social media, they all help. Now, another thing that you should do, everybody thinks that getting a new customer is great and wonderful. But one of the things that a leader should do, and I'd be very interested to see what you think of this, you should evaluate your customers. And it's a bit like friends. You should be very careful who your friends are, and you should be very careful who you hang out with. Not all customers are good, and you should be prepared to shed some of your customers. And that's a big mistake that companies make. They hang on to customers thinking we have a customer when in fact they don't have a customer. You should rate your customers. You should have stars, 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, and 2-star. And you should sit down and you say, right, I'm going to evaluate all my customers using star. And you come up with your own key performance indicators. One of the critical things is payment terms. How well do they pay you, and do they pay you on time? There's no point in having a customer unless they pay you. So if they don't pay you, and if they don't pay you on time, drop them, forget about them, go off and find a new customer. You need to check their brand name. Are you doing yourself a good service by being involved with them? Are they a good company? You're going to build up a good company. You want to be working with good companies. Do they have good organizational skills? Their level of excellence. Are they easy to do business with? Do they phone you up on a Monday morning and give you a job and they want it back on the Tuesday? Or do they give you ample time? Are they fair? Are they friendly? Do they treat you with respect? Do they accept responsibility? So it's important to assess your customers and make sure that you have good, solid customers. And that's why you should always be developing your business, looking for new customers so that you can drop customers, forget about them, don't deal with them anymore. And if you hang on to every customer that you had from day one, it's a big mistake and you'll pay the price for it. So what I'd like to say to you now, we've covered everything. Well, we've covered a lot. And I'm pleased to say to you, that is the end. Thank you very much. And that's my website address there for anybody that wants to get in contact with me. And thank you so much. So I would now like you to ask me the questions that you were going to ask me, or contribute to the presentation any way you like.
I'll let Dimitri ask the first question.
Okay. Go ahead, Dimitri.
Eamonn, you've been very clear throughout the presentation, and obviously everything you presented makes a lot of sense. And there's a lot of food for thought there in relation to your leadership skills. And now I do enjoy the last part with the marketing part, and probably 1 or 2 points there are not well covered in my organization, so I will need to go back and reassess things.
Okay,
so
very good.
I don't really have questions.
Very good. Okay.
I'm just saying that I enjoy the presentation.
Well, thank you very much for that contribution. So I know, what did you think?
I think it was a great presentation. Like I've noticed a couple of things which are missing from my small organization as well, in terms of cold calling and so on. So I think it was a great seminar, and the presentation was great. So I think I have a couple of things to implement of this presentation.
Your own leadership skill is the important thing as well. I mean, to find out what you're like and to start the personal development and find out the areas that you have to work on. And I think that I have 35 or 40 traits on my template. But the thing is, you're not going to score highly on all of them, and you don't need to. But if there was one where you came back and you were weak on, and you felt, Jesus, I need to improve there, then you can start then the guided imagery, meditation, or personal development, or whatever the case might be, and you'll get the benefits, you'll get the reward.
Yeah.
Danut, what did you think?
Thanks for that.
Well, everything was pretty clear for me. I will have a question. I've heard a while ago a quote saying that fake it until you make it. And if you are not good at some point at one of your skills, do you believe that you can fake it until you make it?
Well, see, Richard Branson said, right? I know what that quotation means. Yeah. Richard Branson said, well, yes. Okay, let me explain to you what you've just asked me, right? Richard Branson said that if you get a job and you don't have the skills to do the job, right?
Exactly.
Take the job and learn quickly how to do the job. So fake it till you make it, right? But if you get a job as a surgeon in Beaumont Hospital on a Monday morning and you have to do a heart surgery the following week and you're not competent in heart surgery, well, it wouldn't be very wise to take the job and try and do a crash course in heart surgery in a week and take the operation on the following week. So yes, fake it till you make it with its limitations, and know when you're faking it that you can fake it because you are going to make it. So fake it till you make it, as long as you know that you're going to make it. The same thing with the airline pilot. If you get a job as an airline pilot and you're not a competent airline pilot, if you fake it and you don't make it, you're going to bring another 300 people down with you. So yes, fake it till you make it within limitations. I'm faking it all the time.
Thank you for explaining it. I was referring more to the personal skills.
Sorry?
I was referring more to the personal skills. Like I don't have enough strength to do something, but
You don't have what?
I will say the hypothetical issue. Like I won't, if I don't have the enough strength to believe in something or to work with some people. Or,
Well, yeah, but did I? Okay, well, fair enough. Well, personal skills, I did say earlier on, personal skills, they can all be developed. They can all be developed, yes. Yes, leadership soft into personal skills can all be developed. Yeah, fake it till you make it. Okay, fake it till you make it as long as you know that you can make it. So you need to be aware of your own limitations in the sense, can I make it? Yeah.
yeah, I understand.
Do you understand? Do you understand
Yes,
it, Dimitri?
yes.
Yeah, I do.
When are you going to make it, Dimitri? When? Are you still in the fake?
I'm trying to count the many times I have to fake it.
You have to fake it. I hope I explained that to you very well. Maybe the analogy that I gave you is too severe, but look, it's simple enough. Fake it till you make it. Yes, of course. Fake it till you make it.
You definitely fake it, the explanation, so you made it.
Yeah, very good. Okay. A lot of companies don't do this. I mean, I have in my career, like really come across awful leaders, like really poor leaders, really poor organization, poor leaders. And if they did the stuff that we're talking about this morning, Jesus, they would benefit so much. The people around them would benefit so much, and the companies would benefit so much, and everybody would benefit so much, because none of us are perfect.
The question here, Eamonn, is how do they actually stay in the job?
Well, I mean, they seem to be able to plod along. They just plod along.
So this confirms the nuts. They're not saying that they fake it till they make it.
Well, I mean, some people fake it all their lives, but they don't want to make it. They just want to hang on to what they have. They want to hang on to what they have, and you also have sort of in companies dynamics like family business and friends and brothers and uncles and relationships, and they have the job and they're secure and they're protected, and there's all sort of nonsense that goes on. There's all sort of stuff, but look, any one of you could have a fucking substantial business if you do the stuff that we spoke about today, because I tell you this here, right? The stuff we spoke about this morning, Most people don't do that. They all say they do it. They all say they do it, but they don't do it. You know ISO. Are you familiar with ISO?
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people get the certificate and that's it. They just get the certificate and that's it. But ISO is absolutely brilliant if you do it right. And personal development is an amazing thing. You get huge benefit out of it. You even feel better yourself. Jesus, I'm improving all the time. You should have a quotation. Every day, in every way, I am improving on a daily basis. And on every day and in every way, I am improving every day. So it didn't last too long. It was less than an hour because you didn't ask too many questions. So did you understand everything that I said?
Yes,
You were clear on it? Yes?
Yeah, to me it was
crystal clear.
Crystal clear. Okay, so you're...
Obviously, it helped that we participated at the other seminar, you know.
Sorry?
Obviously, it helped that we participated or we listened to your previous seminar.
Oh, yeah, well... Lionel was at the other presentation, and you listened to it on YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah. Very good. Okay. Well, look, you know, as I said to you before, I have worked in Scotland. I worked in Scotland. I worked in England. I worked in America. And I tell you, I mean, you know, companies, if they do what we spoke about this morning, the world is your oyster. You can really grow and you can employ people, bring in people, start leading, develop your leadership skill, become a leader, become the CEO, become the managing director, and delegate, get the right people and get them to do it. If you had a business development manager, cold calling, but like if you have the wrong person cold calling, they will alienate people rather than win them.
Mm-hmm.
Cold calling is a skill, and it's an important skill. I did it when I set up my own business, and I actually learned how to do it by actually doing it. I think I phoned Christina maybe 4 times before I got the job in Priority. Yeah. Anyway, you're happy enough then?
Yes.
Yeah, so far, so good.
Get on to a personal development plan. Find out who you are. Don't forget what Carl Jung said. The most terrifying thing is to get to know yourself. Robbie Burns said, give us the gift so we know ourselves. And somebody else said, if you want to get to know yourself, give up the idea that you already do.
Yeah.
Right then. I'll talk to you Monday, Dimitri. I'll give you a call Monday to see how you are.
No problem. Thank
So
you.
do you have any other questions?
No.
Just keep faking it till you make it. Not the buna.
Take care.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.